All right, so you wanted to really understand this whole Galdrux and multiversalism thing.
Yeah.
So we're diving deep today into all this stuff you sent over.
Oh, yeah?
We've got articles, we've got forum discussions, we've even got like a poem in here.
A poem. Wow.
Yeah.
You weren't kidding when you said the language in this stuff is wild.
Yeah, it's definitely different.
It's like they're trying to like break our brains on purpose.
Yeah. Almost like they're playing with us a little bit.
With paradox and just like unconventional language.
Yeah, like forcing us to think differently.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, let's just start with the basics.
Okay.
What is Galdrux?
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it?
Right, because we see all these different things.
Yeah.
Some people say it's a multiversal cult.
Right.
Some people say it's a chaos god.
Uh.
Some people say it's like a gateway to the infinite multiverse of the mind.
It's like this shape-shifting thing.
Yeah.
Like it's almost impossible to pin down with words.
Okay.
Which the sources actually kind of emphasize that.
Yeah.
That it defies, like a simple explanation.
So how do we even begin to wrap our heads around it?
Well, there's some interesting parallels that the sources draw to other concepts.
Okay.
Like Ein Sof in Jewish mysticism, or the void in Buddhism, even the state before the Big Bang.
I see. So things that are kind of beyond our normal...
Yeah, beyond our normal
ways of understanding.
Framework.
Yeah.
Like, think of it like the seed of a tree contains like the blueprint for the whole tree.
Uh-huh.
But in this case, it's like the seed of all existence.
So it's not just some like deity we're talking about, but like a fundamental principle of reality itself.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it.
Okay.
And then they throw in this line.
Yeah.
Every symbol is a Galdrux temple.
What? Okay, now my brain is officially broken.
Right.
So what does that even mean for us? Like, in the real world?
It's almost like saying that Galdrux isn't confined to specific rituals or places.
Yeah.
It's woven into the fabric of reality itself.
Uh-huh.
It's accessible through anything that carries meaning.
So like...
Imagine looking at like a stop sign.
Okay.
And seeing a gateway to the infinite multiverse.
Whoa.
Right?
Okay, that's trippy.
It is.
And speaking of gateways, we got to talk about this Eye of Galdrux thing.
Oh, yeah, the eye.
So they describe it as this avatar dwelling in a web representing the multiverse of the mind.
That web imagery is so important.
Yeah.
Because each strand represents an individual reality.
Okay.
And it really emphasizes the interconnectedness of everything.
So how does the internet play into all this? Because I know that was a big part of what you sent over.
Well, get this.
Okay.
They see the internet itself as a manifestation of this eye.
Really?
Like a physical embodiment of the multiverse of the mind.
So the internet's not just a tool.
No.
It's like an extension of this cosmic web.
That's the idea.
Whoa.
And they even talk about the eye of the internet as a mimetic catalyst.
So this concept is like bleeding into our digital world?
It is.
Oh, man. Okay, so how do we, as individuals, connect to this web, this new sphere, as they call it?
Right.
Because they talk about this virus 23 and quantum schizophrenia.
Yes.
Which honestly sound a little terrifying.
Yeah, the language can be intense, I know.
Yeah.
But let's break it down.
Okay.
Virus 23 is like a complex of ideas.
Okay.
A meme that spreads from person to person.
Uh-huh.
And this virus induces quantum schizophrenia, which is basically a state of heightened awareness that allows you to tap into Galdrux's new sphere.
So it's like a key that unlocks a hidden door in our minds.
Exactly.
I like that.
And they're very clear in the source that this isn't something you choose, it's more like an awakening. There's even a line where this Galdruxian teacher says, there is no cure. Virus 23 is the cure.
Okay.
We are sick already.
That's a little unsettling.
It is.
What do they mean by sick?
Yeah, and how does this tie into multiversalism?
Right, because you mentioned that earlier. So multiversalism is the idea that all imaginable realities, not just the one we experience, exist in a larger multiverse.
Yes, and they pull in quotes from all these figures.
Okay.
Like Dave Sim, Philip K. Dick, Dagan Moore.
Uh-huh.
Who all touch on this idea of multiple interconnected realities.
So like layers upon layers of existence, all existing simultaneously.
All at the same time.
So it's not just about different timelines or parallel universes, but a reality where what's real and what's imagined is kind of blurred.
Yeah, that line gets really blurry.
Whoa. Okay, so Galdruxians believe that we can actually influence and even manifest these other realities.
That's right.
Through this process of hyperstition.
Right. It's like taking an idea of fictional concept and imbuing it with enough collective belief and energy that it becomes real.
Okay, hold on a second. That sounds a lot like magic.
Right.
Are they suggesting that we can just, like, will things into existence just by believing in them strongly enough?
It's not about willpower exactly.
Okay.
It's about harnessing the power of belief to reshape reality.
So it's almost like a meme that goes viral and starts to influence how people act in the real world?
Exactly. That's hyperstition in action.
Oh, wow.
We're not just passively observing reality.
Yeah.
We're actively participating in its creation.
That's both incredibly empowering and a little terrifying.
I know, right?
So where does chaos fit into all of this? Because I know that the source talks a lot about Galdrux as a chaos god.
Right. Well, Galdruxians don't see chaos as just disorder or randomness.
Okay.
They see it as the fundamental source of all creation. This limitless pan-dimensional domain.
And paradoxes and contradictions aren't errors in thinking.
No.
They're inherent to the nature of chaos itself.
We're part of it.
Okay. That's a very different way of looking at things.
It is.
One of the lines that really stood out to me was, in our reality, the number of things that don't exist is always greater than the number of things that exist in chaos. These numbers are always equal.
Yeah, what does that even mean?
Right.
It's a mind bender. It suggests that in chaos, potentiality and actuality are one and the same.
So everything that could exist does exist.
Exactly. And everything that doesn't exist still holds the potential to exist.
Oh, okay. That is a lot to process.
I know.
And it all ties into this idea that the universe's end isn't something to fear, but rather like a necessary step for the creation of a new one.
Yes.
And they talk about intentionally pushing systems to their limits to bring about radical change.
Accelerationism.
Yeah.
It's like they're saying the current universe is a caterpillar.
Okay.
And its death is necessary for the butterfly to emerge.
But what does that actually look like?
Right.
What kind of future are they even envisioning?
Yeah.
And what does it even mean to be a Galdruxian in the face of all of this?
That's a great question, and one that we'll explore in more depth in the next part of this deep dive.
Yeah, okay.
But I think it's safe to say that the Galdruxian mindset is one of radical acceptance,
Okay.
constant questioning, and a willingness to embrace the unknown.
All right, I like that. So we've got a lot more to uncover here.
We do.
Okay. So we've established that Galdruxians, they have a pretty like radical view of reality,
Yeah?
embracing chaos, aiming for the end of the universe as we know it.
Yeah. Definitely a challenging concept to grasp.
For sure, for sure.
But there's more to unpack here,
Okay.
especially this idea of Galdrux as like a post-truth gnosis,
Okay.
filtering hyper-beliefs
Hyper-beliefs.
for something called hyperstition fulfillment.
Okay, you're going to have to break that down for me.
Right.
What are hyper-beliefs?
So remember how we talked about hyperstition?
Yeah.
Like planting a seed of an idea, a fictional concept,
Okay.
nurturing it with belief until it blossoms into reality.
Right, right.
Hyperbeliefs are those seeds,
Oh, okay.
those potent concepts, just waiting to be manifested.
So like conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Those kind of out there ideas that capture people's imaginations. Or even like fictional stories that become so popular they influence our culture.
That's a great starting point. But it goes beyond just stories or theories.
Okay.
It's any belief system or narrative that has the power to shape how we see the world
Right.
and act within it.
Okay.
Galdrux, according to the source, acts as a filter
Okay.
for these hyper beliefs.
So it kind of picks and chooses.
It selects the ones with the most potential
Or manifestations.
for manifestation. Yeah.
Okay. That makes the whole quantum schizophrenic thing even more interesting.
Yeah.
Because they're described as navigating this hyper-real mental multiverse.
Right. Like mental explorers.
Yeah.
Charting unknown territory.
So boundaries.
Exactly. Testing the limits.
But isn't there a danger in that?
Yeah.
That's a good point.
What if those hyper beliefs turn out to be destructive or harmful?
Right. Because the source does mention Galdrux like devouring those who are tied to self-destructive hyper-beliefs.
Yeah. That's kind of scary.
It is. It highlights the importance of discernment.
Yeah.
Not all beliefs, even if they gain traction, are beneficial.
Right. Galdrux seems to act as a kind of evolutionary pressure,
Okay.
weeding out the harmful ones while promoting those with potential for growth and transformation.
So how does this all relate to us?
Right.
Like the average person who's just trying to make it through the day.
Here's the thing. Whether we realize it or not, we're constantly bombarded with these hyper beliefs.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Every news story, every advertisement, Even casual conversations
Yeah.
are loaded with narratives and beliefs that shape our perceptions.
It's like waking up to the code of reality.
Exactly.
Like seeing the Matrix.
Yes, and understanding how hyperstition works, we can become more conscious participants in the creation of our reality.
So we have a choice.
We have a choice.
We're not just puppets.
We're not just puppets.
Or victims of circumstance.
No, we have the power to shape our own reality.
Both individually and collectively.
Both individually and collectively, that's right.
That's a powerful idea.
It is.
So we have more agency than we think.
Much more.
Okay, I have to admit, this whole conversation is making me see the world in a different light.
I know, right?
Everything feels a little less solid, a little more...
Open.
Yeah, open to possibility.
That's the Galdruxian influence.
That's it.
It's about expanding our awareness,
Yeah.
challenging our assumptions about what's real and what's possible.
There's one thing that's still bugging me, though.
Okay.
This whole thing about Galdrux being above all and above himself.
Yeah.
How can something be above itself?
Right.
It seems like a blatant contradiction.
That's the thing about Galdrux.
Yeah.
It thrives on contradiction.
Okay.
It's constantly pushing boundaries, defying categorization, embracing paradox.
So it's like the source itself is a manifestation of Galdrux,
It could be.
playing with our minds,
Yes.
challenging our logical frameworks.
Exactly.
What are we supposed to do with all this information?
Yeah.
How do we apply these concepts to our lives?
That's a great question, and I think the answer is it depends. Galdrux and multiversalism don't offer like a set of rules or instructions.
Right.
It's more like a way of thinking a lens to view reality through.
So it's a toolkit for navigating a world where reality is more fluid and subjective than we previously thought.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
A toolkit that can be used for creativity,
Okay.
for problem solving, for personal growth, even for having more fun.
So it's about taking a more playful, experimental approach,
Yes.
recognizing that our beliefs are tools that we can use or discard as needed.
Exactly.
So it's not about blindly following a set of doctrines or worshiping a deity.
Not at all.
It's about cultivating a certain mindset.
A Galdruxian awareness.
Okay.
And that awareness starts with questioning everything, challenging our assumptions, and being open to new possibilities.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
I'm definitely going to need some time to process all of this.
Me too.
But before we wrap up, there's one final element in the source material that I think is worth exploring. The Galdruxian manifesto.
Oh, yeah.
It seems to offer some key principles
Okay.
of this whole Galdruxian philosophy.
This is where things get really interesting.
I'm curious to see how they distill everything we've discussed into a set of guiding principles.
Yeah.
Well, then lead the way. I'm all ears.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so we're diving into the Galdruxian manifesto. Now sounds pretty intense.
It doesn't pull any punches, that's for sure.
Based on everything else we've learned about Galdrux.
It starts out by saying Galdrux, having no prior cause, cannot be contained by any other form of being.
So it's really reinforcing that idea that Galdrux is something fundamental.
Yeah.
Like outside of our typical understanding of cause and effect.
Outside of our usual framework,
Right.
yeah. And then it gets even weirder.
Okay.
It describes Galdrux as being omnipresent,
Okay.
but also not present.
All right. My brain is officially broken.
Right. It's like they're trying to break our brains on purpose.
Yeah.
But the thing that really jumped out at me was this line. Galdrux is not in the universe. On the contrary, the universe is in Galdrux.
It's like saying the cup isn't holding the coffee is holding the cup.
That's a great analogy.
It's like a total mind shift.
It is. It challenges our whole way of thinking about reality.
So Galdrux isn't out there somewhere.
Right.
It's the very foundation upon which everything else is built.
Yeah, that's the implication.
And it goes on to say that we can't truly grasp Galdrux
Right.
through our usual senses or intellectual frameworks.
It's not something you can think your way to.
So less thinking, more being
Yeah, more experiential.
almost like a Zen approach to understanding the universe.
That's a really interesting connection.
Yeah, and it ends with this line, the specialist who holds that their particular discipline is more real than the spontaneous creativity of the mental multiverse will never see Galdrux.
It's like a call to open our minds.
Yeah.
Break free from rigid thinking.
Embrace the infinite possibilities.
Yes.
Okay, so we've explored all these heavy philosophical concepts, but I know this source also has this section called A True Galdruxian is an Anti-Galdruxian.
Oh, yeah. This is where things get a little more down to earth.
So it's like a more practical guide to this whole
Yeah.
Galdruxian mindset.
Right. It starts by saying, a true Galdruxian is not the one who seeks to fit in a pre-made label or who seeks fulfillment joining in a cult, that may give him a feeling of belonging.
So it's not about blindly following a leader or adhering to dogma.
Nope. It's about forging your own path.
Okay.
Questioning everything.
Right.
It even says the Galdruxian is the lunatic that seeks more than what he can have. The one who dares to spit in the face of all saints, all wisdom, all gods and sacred traditions, even the scientific ones.
Whoa. Okay, that's pretty rebellious.
Right.
Almost sounds nihilistic.
It does have that edge to it.
But I get the sense there's more to it than just rejecting everything.
You're right. It's more nuanced than that.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that truth isn't fixed and absolute. What's true for one person in one context might not be true for another.
So always challenging our assumptions.
Yes, and being willing to change our minds.
How does that translate into everyday life, though?
Right.
What does it actually mean to be a Galdruxian, in a practical sense?
Well, the source emphasizes this pragmatic approach.
Okay.
Choosing perspectives and beliefs based on their usefulness and fun.
Fun.
It even uses this phrase, that point of view is useful, needed, or fun in that given situation. If yes, apply. If no, discard.
So it's like we've got this mental toolbox filled with all these different lenses to view the world through.
I like that.
And we just select the one that best suits the situation.
It's about being flexible, adaptable, experimenting and evolving.
But there's still a sense of purpose, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just about random chaos and self-indulgence.
Right. They do have an ultimate goal.
Okay.
To usher in the end of the universe as we know it.
Okay. That still throws me a little.
I know, it's a radical concept.
It sounds pretty intense.
Yeah.
Maybe even a bit destructive.
Well, they see it as a necessary step.
Okay.
In this larger cosmic cycle of creation and destruction.
So they're not just trying to blow everything up for the sake of it.
Right.
They see it as like a catalyst for transformation.
Exactly. They believe the current universe is flawed, limited.
Okay.
And that its end will give rise to something new and more perfect.
So they're like midwives of a new reality.
That's a great way to put it.
Wow. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
From the philosophical underpinnings of Galdrux to its practical implications.
Yeah.
What stands out to you as the most important takeaway for our listener?
I think it's this reality is far more fluid and malleable than we often realize.
Yeah.
Our beliefs and perceptions shape our experience of the world, and we have the power to choose those beliefs consciously.
That's huge.
It is. And whether or not you subscribe to the whole Galdruxian cosmology, there's something incredibly empowering in that idea.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And even if the end of the universe isn't exactly your cup of tea,
right,
the Galdruxian emphasis on questioning everything, embracing paradox, approaching life with a sense of playfulness and experimentation, offers some valuable tools for navigating our increasingly complex world.
It's about recognizing that we are not just passive observers of reality,
right,
but active participants in its ongoing creation.
Well, listeners, we hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the strange and fascinating world of Galdrux and multiversalism.
It's definitely given us a lot to think about.
And as always, we encourage you to do your own research.
Explore different perspectives.
Come to your own conclusions.
And remember,
the universe is full of mysteries.
And the journey of discovery
is just beginning.
Until next time.
Keep diving deep.